Black Wrestling News. In profile tonight, I'm talking about one of the trailblazing men of professional wrestling, an all-time great, a WWE Hall of Famer, the one and only, the legendary Bobo Brazil. Within the annals of history, he isn't often discussed, but tonight I'm going to talk about him, and this is the one and only Bobo Brazil during his time. Yes, I've entitled this Bobo Brazil, the cross he carried. And he did carry a cross, even if it's psychologically and mentally, because he was one of the first to do it. And when you're one of the first to do it, especially as a black man, you have to do it in an entirely different light. So let's talk about Bobo Brazil on this evening, whose real name is Houston Harris, who was born July 10th, 1924. And Bobo Brazil passed away on January 20th, 1998. He was an African, I'm inserting that in, American professional wrestler, better known by his ring name Bobo Brazil, credited with breaking down barriers of racial segregation in professional wrestling. Harris is considered one of the first successful African American professional wrestlers. So how did it all get started? Where did he come from? Who mentored him? Houston Harris was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, but later lived in East St. Louis, Illinois. In Benton Harbor, Michigan, his father died when he was 7 years old, which resulted in him doing odd jobs such as working on a local fruit farm. Wow, for 50 cents a container. He played baseball in the Negro Leagues for the House of David, where he was discovered to become a wrestler at a steel mill. Harris was trained by Joe Savaldi. After meeting him at matches at the Naval Armory, Savaldi originally named Harris Bobo Brazil, the South American giant, where he wrestled using a sequin satin cape stitched together by his wife. But a promoter misprinted his first name as Bobo in an advertisement, and the name stuck with Harris throughout the entirety of his career. During the time, segregation in the South normally limited African American wrestlers to only wrestling other African American wrestlers. Harris proved so popular that promoters put aside their prejudices in order to make money. Money still talks. I don't care what people say. They'll put it aside to make that dollar. Brazil's first recorded match was on March 29, 1948, in Benton Harbor, wrestling as Houston Harris, the Black Panther, against Ahmed Myers to a 30-minute draw. Harris was taught by, as I mentioned, Joe Savaldi to be an honest athlete in the ring and never to take shortcuts on anybody to win a match. He was instilled to be a crowd's friend right to the end, finding success. In Detroit, which was an urban center, Brazil developed a fan base among both the black and white populace with his modesty and stylish dress and professionalism, making him a big draw and an appealing babyface to both races of fans. Although loved by fans, it didn't stop Brazil from dealing with bigotry and discrimination during that time. In the era when Harris ascended to stardom, African Americans fans were forced to sit in areas that made it hard to see Bobo Brazil. Even Harris himself was banned from going to restaurants, hotels, and even wrestling in certain territories due to the color of his skin. In the early 1950s, he also performed in Japan. Brazil would have many matches with competitors such as Killer Kowalski, Dick the Bruiser, Johnny Valentine, Haystacks Calhoun, and the Sheik, who feuded with Brazil over the course of several decades, with a variety of their matches being acclaimed bloody matchups. These and other rivals would fall victim to Brazil's finishing maneuver, the Coco Butt. With the move also breaking racial barriers, Brazil also once wrestled Bill Miller to a draw and challenged Bruno Sammartino for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship in a battle of two top babyface competitors. On October 18, 1962, Brazil defeated Nature Boy Bunny Rogers by hitting him in the groin, causing Rogers to be unable to continue. Brazil refused the championship, and they met a couple of weeks later, and Rogers won. At the time, the promoters were working a gimmick where the champion would be hit in the groin and the challenger wouldn't accept the title. The same scenario occurred in Toronto 2 weeks earlier with Bruno Sammartino and Rogers. Neither Brazil nor Sammartino were officially recognized by the NWA as having won the World Heavyweight Championship. This distinction is usually given to Ron Simmons, the first recognized African American world champion after winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. On October 9th, 1970, Brazil and El Mongo defeated Mr. Ito and the Great Ota in the first racially mixed match in Atlanta history. Brazil served as a mentor to wrestler Soul Man Rocky Johnson, the father of The Rock, and was inspirational to boxer Joe Frazier. Brazil's manager was James Dooley, or Dudley, the first African American to be in charge of a major arena in the United States. I'll profile him probably next. Dudley would run to the ring waving a towel as Brazil followed behind. Brazil retired in 1993 after a 4-decade career. His last official match was in Chicago, Illinois against Kelly Kiniski, son of rival Gene Kiniski. Brazil was inducted into the WWF Hall of Fame class of 1994 by longtime rival Ernie Ladd. The following year, Brazil inducted Ladd into the Hall of Fame, into the WWF Hall of Fame. Harris had a wife and 6 children. After retiring from wrestling, he ran a restaurant called Bobo's Grill, which lasted for more than 20 years. His son, Carl, who was born in 1952, wrestles as Bobo Brazil Jr. in the independent circuit. His brother wrestled as Hank James. Harris died on January 20th, 1998, at the Lakeland Medical Center in St. Joseph, Michigan. He had been admitted to the hospital on January 14th and used a wheelchair after suffering a series of strokes. So let's talk about Bobo Brazil's championships and accomplishments. In an organization called Big Time Wrestling in Detroit, he was the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship 9 times. That was the Detroit version. The NWA World Tag Team Championship, he won that in Detroit, the Detroit version 8 times with Art Thomas 1 time, Bill Miller 1 time, Anthony Layton 1 time, The Stomper 1 time, Tony Marino 3 times, and Fred Curry 1 time. Big Time Wrestling in San Francisco, he was the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship. He won that 1 time. Championship Wrestling from Florida. The NWA, he won the NWA Florida Tag Team Championship 2 times, one with Sweet Brown Sugar and Dusty Rhodes. Come on, the American Dream. In Japan, at the Japan Wrestling Association, known as the JWA, he won the International Heavyweight Championship 2 times. In Maple Leaf Wrestling, the NWA Canadian Open, he won the NWA Canadian Open Tag Team Championship 1 time with Whipper Bill Watson. He won the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship, the Toronto version, 1 time. In Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, he won the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship 1 time. Midwest Wrestling Association, coming out of Ohio, he won the MWA Ohio Championship 1 time. In the MWA Ohio, he won the MWA Ohio Tag Team Championship 3 times with Frankie Tabler. Within the National Wrestling Alliance, he was inducted to the NWA Hall of Fame, the class of 2013. I'm quite sure it probably was a posthumous induction, as he passed away in 1998. The NWA Hollywood Wrestling Worldwide Wrestling Associates, the NWA America's Heavyweight Championship 3 times. It was the NWA Beat the Champ Television Championship 1 time. He won the NWA International Tag Team, the Television Tag Team Championship 4 times with Wilbur Snyder, 2 times with Sandor Sabu and Primo Canera. Sasabo, pardon me. Won the NWA Pacific Coast Heavyweight Championship 1 time, the WWA or the World Heavyweight Championship 2 times. Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum. He was inducted in the television era class of 2008, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. He won the Editor's Award in 1998, Superstars of Wrestling, SOW. He won the United States Heavyweight Championship one time, World Wrestling Association in Indianapolis. He was the WWA World Heavyweight Championship. He won that twice. The WWA World Tag Team Championship one time with Chris Carter. Within the world of Worldwide Wrestling Federation, that's the original name, and also the World Wrestling Federation, he won the WWF United States Heavyweight Championship 7 times. And he was inducted into the WWF Hall of Fame class of 1994 with the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame class of 1996. And other championships included World Negro Heavyweight Championship 2 times. Bobo, Brazil. He carried the cross. Rest in peace, soldier. I'm Todd Tanner.